So, Jabari, I wanted to just kind of get your insight here. I know we heard from Richard on some predictions earlier, so I understand if that might be a fine line. But, why haven't we seen digital humans take off before? I mean, why now? What do you think has happened in the world or the dependencies associated with it that would allow us to be successful in the next 3 to 5 years?
Not having the machine language learning models really available to us, problems with NLP. And really, we're kind of in an interesting place where, as stated, we have these devices in our home where an Alexa or a Google or a Siri is talking to us. And that's in a lot of ways increased our expectations of what's possible. And so a lot of companies who have tried to make the transition from sort of chatbot-based interfaces to NLP-based interfaces have encountered a whole bunch of problems and pushback because they haven't really performed that well. So I think it's really been the technology together with, the networks that these technologies are running on. Like we're now in a place where we have edge computing where we can, have a lower latency and the ability to deliver more content, through the pipes that are available to us. We might be on the cusp of being able to do that through a lot of places. But I think it really is, the inability of the models up to now to really do complex conversations where there's a lot of implicit context embedded within that conversation. Right.
Yeah, good point. The intent of the user has to come through very clearly in order for them to have a better engagement with those digital humans.
Exactly. So it's not being able to just simply ask Alexa to show you a black dress. It's being able to say to this device, I'm going out tonight. And Alexa being able to say, oh, well, here are some black dresses that you might want to try.
Excellent. You obviously one of the largest brands in the world. You're on the innovation team. How do you see what we've been going through as an opportunity to create competitive advantages?
Listen, there's no doubt that the pandemic has created opportunities for us and accelerated some things that we were already doing anyway. And I think, applications like Uniques give us an opportunity to provide both additional utility to our consumers while continuing to delight them. I think that, every company that has a direct consumer interface, particularly those of us that have consumer touch points like retail, are looking for ways to bring digital products and digital services to bear and helping to both meet our customer expectations and to meet them frankly where they are. Right? I think one of the challenges that we have as retailers is that people simply aren't showing up at our stores in the same way that they were because of the pandemic. And things like Unique and other digital tools can help us to bridge that gap for them.
It's really interesting to see the shift from the brick and mortar type of environments to creating some of those same experiences online in the digital environment. So obviously having that emotional connection being pulled through with some of the technology is really, really key. But let me kind of set the stage for you because I think obviously overall customer engagement and brand loyalty is probably as fierce as ever, specifically in the mobile space. So talk to me a little bit about what you see as why does emotional connection matter when you're building brands such as Verizon?
I think earlier today, we had a conversation around brands talking at people as opposed to with people. I think a lot of times brands believe that what they say about themselves is really important, when really the truth of the matter is a brand's identity is based upon what a person can do with you, right? And so part of that conversation, a part of that interaction is certainly based in emotionally bound human needs. And when you can bring that as a brand to your conversation with your consumer, to your interactions with the consumer, you're simply underlining what you actually stand for and what you're actually all about. That's a way that you can underline your authenticity to them, and double click on the emotional depth of that particular connection. So I think it's critically important in the ways that a brand can actually differentiate itself, particularly when you're not talking about simply a value play.
As a marketing person myself, I love that so many different aspects of the business are still thinking about brand and relevance and customer engagement. I think it's fantastic. All right, let's move on. And I want to kind of go around the horn and just hear some of the thought process of where we think digital humans are going to be and where we think they're going to be most impactful in our daily lives.
So I agree with my fellow panelists, but I will throw out a caution. I think that the danger that some companies are going to find if they do this incorrectly is they're going to create emotional experiences that are either inauthentic or that are so deep that it limits what they can actually do in the world. They stand themselves up as a trusted friend. They come with all of the sort of expectations that we as humans have for our friends, including betrayal, right? So I think it's going to be a fine line that brands and companies are going to have to walk in, what they want that emotional connection to be, how deep they want it to be, and how far they want to reach into that psychology. But other than that, it's great.
I think it's a very interesting point of view, because just to reference and coin the term, with great powers come great responsibility. I think we are going to follow those same paths, and making sure that we can integrate ethical decisions and choices into a lot of the NLP that's being created is going to be extremely important for us to first and foremost set